Relax, everybody. Welcome to Lo-Fi Review. I've played Pokemon Legends Arceus for about 8 hours now, and I gotta say I'm pretty impressed. And I also gotta say, it's a hot turd. I don't know how you can be both things at the same time, but this is equal parts like wow, and equal parts like wow. You know.
Do you want to start with the good, or do you want to start with the bad?
I'm gonna start with some questions because there's a lot to talk about,
Okay.
and I just want to hear questions from the curious minds out there.
I would like to talk about. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Pokemon games are about battling and capturing. So, I get the impression this isn't a turn-based game anymore, or not in the sense it has been for a long time. So, can you walk us through the core mechanics?
People described it early on before it came out as Monster Hunter-esque, which I thought was strange. I didn't expect that or believe it at the time, but it is. You go on a mission of sorts, and where you go to a specific area of this region, and then it's a very large area with a lot of Pokemon and a lot of different, their biomes essentially. And within that's where you go do your missions and you catch the Pokemon and stuff, and a lot of the story stuff plays out. Catching is completely all in the overworld. You're walking around, there's a Pokemon there, you can throw your ball right at it. You have to aim it. It does have like a lock-on feature where it'll just zoom in on them. And so you can just throw a ball at any random Pokemon, just about anyway, and attempt to catch it. Sometimes that's successful, sometimes it's not. There's crouching and sneaking, and Pokemon have traditionally always been in the tall grass, and you had to be careful. Don't go into the tall grass without a Pokemon. Well, now you are the one who gets to sneak around in the tall grass and lurk behind Pokemon unsuspectingly.
I have images of like Tyre and Assassin's Creed crouching, which is sneaking up on like a Machamp and been like, all right.
If only. Yeah, put him in the sleeper hold. Some Pokemon are a little more ornery, and if they spot you, they'll attack you with their tackles and their, fire breaths and all that, and you have a dodge ability and you can roll out of the way. It's very unimpressive. They made this huge deal in all the promotional materials, like, the monster Pokemon are coming at you, and maybe I haven't gotten there yet, but for the most part, it's really, really easy not to die to Pokemon. And then the whole point is to actually just throw your own Pokemon out there, and that's how you initiate a battle. 99% of battles are actually just with wild Pokemon. There are no trainers. Not traditional trainers anyway. There are occasional story battles with people who also have Pokemon, but the crux of this game is that you were thrown back in time by some mythical Pokemon to go teach people how to catch Pokemon, because everyone's really scared of them. They all sit in this little village too afraid to leave. They're like, oh no, we don't understand. And then there were like,
that can cast fire at us.
I mean, to be fair, it's a total, yeah, exactly.
Either.
Like they just invented Pokeballs as a really eccentric foreign professor, like foreign to this area. He's not from here. Who's like, I love Pokemon. They're the best. And they're all like, that guy's kind of weird. And you're amazing because you can catch 3 Pokemon in a span of 10 minutes. They're like, no one's ever done this before. And so you're their savior, basically.
So what you're telling me as a major league pitcher is would it literally be God amongst this village for their ability to probably throw Pokeballs at Pokemon?
That's correct. Yes.
And so Arceus was the legendary Pokemon that sends you back and was basically like, please enslave my people.
Yeah, basically. He doesn't even show up in person. He's just this big shining golden light, and you're like floating in this dimension. He's like, and it's just like, I'm sending you back in time. And he gives you this weird phone that looks like it's themed after him, like the style of Arceus, and it's your map. And yeah, it's a hilarious carbon copy of Breath of the Wild in a lot of ways, if it wasn't obvious from any trailer you've ever seen. But also it like didn't actually seem to learn you can't climb anything. There's these little hills. The incline might be like this, and you can't get up it. You're like, and then you slide back down. I've acquired like a deer-esque Pokemon, and he can run fast and jump, and so some of those hills have now become, hurdles I can jump over or onto or whatever. And so I'm like, it's not clear to me if that was intentional or not. Like, it's just really weird. Like, there's a lot of thought that went into this, and at the same time, no thought whatsoever.
Sounds like they have the crack team writers on this one too.
Oh, the writers are great. Yeah, this is a really impressive story. Hi, Dolly.
So let's go more into that. So obviously you got sent back in time as apparently the guy who plays Pokemon, but not Pokemon Go, because you can't walk worth a crap. What are you there to do once you get there?
You're basically just you're in the frontier. This is the wild west of the Pokemon world. It's just ancient times. You're in this singular village called Jubilife Village, and it's a lot of fun being in a hub instead of just going from place to place. Everybody's got a name and a little bit of personality. There's tons of side quests, which for the most part amount to bring me either some item you found out in the wild, or show me a Pokemon or some Pokedex entry. But the story is basically like this. There's a survey corps, and they are basically like not a police force, but they protect the village by making sure the Pokemon threat doesn't get out of hand. Like if there is a Pokemon problem, they go deal with it, because what little training and catching gets done with them. And so you're immediately recruited into this, and you're slowly climbing the ranks of this particular survey corps. And then there's these two clans called Diamond and Pearl Clan, after Diamond and Pearl, which is where this area is based off of. And they live out in the woods. They don't live in this village. They have a slightly stronger connection to Pokemon. There's these giant Lord Pokemon, and they've gone crazy. And as you journey throughout the lands, you have to calm them down. You don't get to catch them, which is a little annoying.
Do you calm them down by beating them up in battle?
You do. You just throw bags of stuff at them. It's called Balm, and you're just like, yeah, you just keep throwing it at them until they just stop. And that's it.
You said that it's not turn-based anymore. So how does
it
the
is.
combat...
No, Sean said that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay,
no,
so
the combat is still very much turn-based.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
But it's just that you can see the Pokemon out in the wild, and then once you actually run into them, that then starts the encounter where it becomes more like a traditional Pokemon game.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it is at its core still a traditional turn-based, one Pokemon on each side at a time situation, 6 on your team. Throw your ball out there to start a fight or whatever. They have altered things slightly. You can see traditionally it was basically just a round, and then one of the Pokemon goes first based on who's fastest, with some slight caveats there. This time the speed stat and the way that speed works with moves is very different, and you can see a list of the turn order in the for like the next 5 or 6 turns. And you can alter moves slightly with a strong and agile style, which will either make a move slower or faster accordingly, and then potentially allow you to attack twice, or if you attack stronger, allow your opponent to attack twice. And so there's a new layer of strategy that I haven't really figured out yet. It doesn't seem super useful to me, so I'm just assuming I haven't unlocked whatever mystery is behind this, because I haven't spent a lot of time trying to figure out the mechanics, because catching is a lot of fun. I spend a lot of time catching Pokemon, and there's a lot of incentive to catch the same Pokemon over and over again, for various reasons, whether that's filling out the Pokedex entry because you can catch them multiple times, or you can catch them from behind, or you can catch them at night or while it's raining. And these are all different criteria, yeah, for different kinds of Pokemon, or side quests for that matter. It's like, hey, I want you to find me a fat Buizel. This one's cool. I've got one right here, but I want a big one. Show me what a big Buizel looks like. And stuff like that. But yeah, it's really good to see Pokemon take this enormous leap forward for its series. And so it just makes all the awfulness just melt away, as far as this is the worst game I've played in some respects in a really long time. Pop in that would make Jason cry. He would put it down after 30 minutes. I guarantee it.
So I guess the key question there is this the direction you want to see Pokemon continue to go down?
Yes and no. It can't just stay this way.
Right.
There's still a lot to be done and uncover. And I've only I don't know if I've already seen all the loops. I don't know if there's more to see or not. But I very much enjoy this. I would love to see another game like this. And they've already mentioned in game other regions like Kanto, which is from Gen 1. Mm-hmm. And then the island one from the 3DS, what is it called? Whatever. Where they go to pretend Pokemon Hawaii. Huh. And everything's tropical and cool. They mentioned that place too. And so they clearly probably have plans for another one at least. And this is already doing really well numbers wise. Really positive reception. A lot of the same sentiments. It's hey, this game's really, really fun. It's a good job, Pokemon Company. Finally, Game Freak, you did it. It's also really bad, though. Look at this. This is ugly. Don't do this again. And it's just I don't understand it. I don't understand how they do this all the time. It still looks a lot better than Sword and Shield, which just looked like an up-jump 3DS game. And the wild areas sucked in that, and they're pretty good in this one.
But it's got water graphics like Oblivion.
It does, and it doesn't let you swim. You can jump into the water, and you eventually will get a Pokemon that lets you swim. You can ride it in the water, And I can tell because they let you swim, you don't drown for 3 seconds. And those are the 3 seconds that let you call that Pokemon. Knowing how it works with the deer one, I get to ride around. After those 3 seconds, you just drown, and then you get put back on the land. And you can take damage. The trainer can take damage, like I mentioned earlier, and that accrues some damage. And then you can pass out. Still not a lot of threat because you're just going to go back to your base camp or whatever, and you'll be fine. And you can always return to there. What's that?
And just try again.
Yeah, exactly. Try again. You can always return there and rest. But you don't want to kill the flow. And so you want to play smart. You don't want to just go head first. You want to have potions on you, and you can craft stuff in the field, and that's cool. Item crafting has never really been a thing in Pokemon, and it helps save money because there's a lot of stuff to sink your money into, like expanding your inventory and buying other more rare items. So you don't want to be wasting all your money on Pokeballs. You want to go find those items and make them yourself. So I'd give this a Metroid Dread out of 10.
Would you?
I would give this a Metroid
Wow.
Dread out of 10. Is it? I still haven't figured it out.
I think it is. Metroid Dread was really good.
You gonna play it, Robert?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I probably will be annoyed by the crap parts of it, but yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, my kiddo loves it.
Good.
So
Can you go back and see your mom and talk to her?
you don't have parents for like the first time ever.
Wow.
You're like a teenager instead of like a preteen 10-year-old. For the first time, you're about 15. It doesn't really make a difference, nor does it look like you're any different, like size-wise, or like it just doesn't matter that you're 15 versus 10. But they did make a point to tell me that I was 15 years old.
Oh, that's great.
And your mom doesn't know that you're gone or care or something like that.
That sounds about right. The parents never really. I mean, you could just be out in the world dying, and
Yeah,
Oh, so with that in mind, can you become your own Pokemon grandfather?
probably. You just gotta find the right Pokemon.
the unintended consequences of this time travel.
It was kind of funny because when you get there, everybody hates you. They're like, "Who are you? You're a foreign stranger. You dress like a weirdo. And you're just in a t-shirt and shorts." And like, ugh. And you catch some Pokemon, and they're like, "All right, maybe we'll give you a shot, I guess." But there's the leader of the Survey Corps is this enigmatic samurai-looking dude. He's got like noble samurai robes on, a big mustache. And when the first time you meet him, he's all the way at the top of this building, and he's like, "Challenge me to some fight." And it's like, and you can choose to like charge him or throw him. It doesn't even show anything. It just cuts to black. And then you're clearly like on the ground from like the first person perspective. It's like, you've got a lot to learn. So that's the first time you interact with him. He just throws you on the ground.
So what's your biggest criticism? Because you've mentioned some things, but what would you say your biggest criticisms of the changes that they made, or that they didn't make?
There's so many changes that like, it's not like, it's hard to compare it to the old games aside from catching Pokemon. I guess the biggest criticism is just like, it is a technological dumpster fire. Like there's no reason it should be like this. Like stop. Just figure it out. Figure out a way to cycle through these games with multiple teams, hire more people, get people who know what they're doing, or find a new engine or something. I don't know. Like I feel like if I spent 3 months with Unreal Engine 4 or 5 on my own, there would just be pre-built assets and functions that just work better. I don't understand it. Breath of the Wild launched 5 years ago, almost 6, and people were pretty mean to it because it had a few technical issues in the beginning. Like there was some like frame rate stutters and a couple things that were like, oh, this is what the Switch has to offer. And they fixed it right away. And now, of course, people look back fondly like, wow, it looks really good for a Switch game. And this here comes this like carbon copy of the game 5 years later, except like it's only 10% as good in that regard. Like, why can't I climb this thing? Or why is it such that traversing is so... I'll go with that. I'll go with traversal. You got this giant space, and I don't really care. There's not a lot to do in it, but it should be easy to get around, and it's not. It's really not easy to get around because I can't swim. I don't have that, but there's water like everywhere in between these places, and there's fall damage. Except like I can't fly yet. Eventually, you get a Pokemon that lets you fly, and it's not clear to me whether that's by design or just accidental. Like they built a world that has physics, and they didn't even think about it. So.
Well, I would say 8 hours into an adventure game that seems like it's largely based on discovery and exploration. If you don't make the traversal fun in the first 8 hours, you're doing something wrong.
It's not really about discovery and exploration, though.
Oh.
Other than finding a Pokemon in an area you haven't been, or sometimes Pokemon are like pop up in an area you have been, but they're rare, and so they don't always pop up when you go through that area.
Okay.
But otherwise, there's nothing to find.
Well,
There are no like secrets or shrines or.
I circle back to Sean's earlier question. It's like there's no trainers. You're there to teach people how to catch Pokemon, but like, does it feel like you're heading towards something without getting too spoilery? Does it feel like you're heading towards something narratively, or try to accomplish something? Like, what zaps you back?
For me, it's the Pokedex and the research aspect, and then in between all of that, they have those tentpole Lord Pokemon thing and whatever story is going to unfold. And so the Pokedex, instead of just catching a Pokemon and being done with that Pokemon, that's it. That's the entry originally in older games. What you'll do is there's like catch it X number of times, like catch it once, catch it 3 times, catch it 10 times, catch it X times, see it use a move so many times, and then maybe there's a unique side quest associated with that Pokemon. Defeat it with a very specific type. Like these little things are just these little micro check boxes. You don't have to do them all to complete the entry. You only have to do so many of them, and so you get to pick and choose which ones are useful for you at the time. So, one of the Bidoof, I caught a bunch of them, and I completed more than half of his entry, and then I killed a few of them, and then boom, I was done. And then this lady was like, "Show me this entry, and I'll give you a reward." And I stumbled upon her. There was like a little thing over her head, but she just showed up in this area that she wouldn't normally be in once I had like progressed. And so like, it's all these little micro steps that kind of keep you moving forward. And then there are these, like I said, these Lord Pokemon that like, those are like the set piece story moments where you get a little bit more involved and, ooh, what's the mystery? Like, why am I here? And why are these Pokemon going crazy? And there is this whole theme about space-time still, like they're worshiping Almighty Sinnoh, which is basically Arceus, but they don't know that yet. And I don't know if I know that as a character yet, but I clearly know it as a person. So, I mean, I am intrigued to see where this ends without an Indigo Plateau and Elite Four. Like, what does that look like in a game? Or what does this game look like without those? It's got to be something. So we'll see.
Yeah, it almost sounds like in some ways Pokemon pared down to some of its bare components, and then those were the components they kind of then tried to expand upon or to build into a new game.
They stripped it down, and then they started building based on like those 3 things, which is like, catching Pokemon, and there's still a lot of battling. It's just not the same kind of battling. And then like the mystery of adventure. Like, you're not exploring like you traditionally think, but Pokemon's always been, at least tried to be, an adventure. It was, I feel like, back on the Game Boy, and then less so in future iterations. So they're trying to go back to that as one of their like core pillars. Definitely worth the $60 though. All right, that's all we have for you today. Like, share, subscribe this video. Check us out for other impressions, lo-fi reviews we've done, and some future ones that we're going to be doing in the future. Bye.
Later, you lo-fi skaters.
See, let's just use that.
Right.
Screw everything I just said, and then we'll just splice that
I
in.
like that. Can you just say more stuff in that voice, and we'll just use I'm gonna erase everything we did, and just whatever you say right now is what we're gonna.
I can say whatever you want.
I love it. I'm just gonna post that. Just that.
Say Pikachu.
Pikachu.
Oh, Dr. Brockledy, you talk so good. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
We're gonna be at a